Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be making an updated Celestial Hypogean tier list. Now that BAELRAN has been out for a while, I think I'm pretty confident of where to position him and talking about when you should be recruiting for him or if you can pass on him. So here we have the tiers. S tier are the heroes which every single person still needs to build on their account. The A tier are usually going to be the priority heroes after you've completed the heroes in the S tier. And then below this, B tier and below, these heroes are basically kind of almost luxury heroes, but if you have the resources, you can begin recruiting one of the heroes in the B tier. And then the tiers below this are basically the low priority heroes, mainly for the whales who are spending a lot for Celestial Hypogean like Stellar Crystals, and they're able to get many of them. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so for the S tier, the twins are still the #1 hero in the game, and I think they're probably going to remain the #1 support for a long time. They're just so valuable and honestly one of the most game-changing heroes in this game, apart from like Chimera of the main factions. They're really good for Dream Realm, AFK stages. They can even work in PvP. They're basically a jack of all trades and also a master of a lot of different game modes. In almost every single Dream Realm team, you're going to be using twins in the top team formation. So they're a must build and you have to get them to Supreme Plus to unlock their full potential. That provides a bonus attack buff to allies on the Stellar Bond, and you need that in order to maximize your damage. Phraesto is still going to be an S tier hero, even though it does seem a little bit like other heroes are trying to fill the void of basically where Phraesto used to be the best option for especially endless Dream Realm teams. However, Phraesto is just such a solid hero. He is kind of like essential, and if you're thinking about even Harak oriented teams, they all basically use Phraesto because he's the best food for Harak. He can actually feed Harak up to 3 times if you have like plus 15 exclusive equipment of Phraesto, because he can respawn the illusion. So Phraesto is still a top tier hero. He's also good for PvP, AFK stages, but not obviously as good as the twins. And for Dream Realm, he is not as good as the twins, but he is one of those great endless damage dealers that you can run. However, now I think it is probably recommended for you to go all in on the twins first, and then gradually build up Phraesto later on. Like work with one copy of Phraesto and just go all in on the twins. And then after the twins are done, then you can build up Phraesto. And really, he wants to be Supreme plus 15 exclusive equipment, and eventually even Supreme plus 20 exclusive equipment. Okay, now looking at the A tier, it is Reinier and Harak. Reinier is very important, and he is doing so well this season, and it's kind of amazing because we're all just waiting for the moment that is Reinier going to get power crept, but it never really happens. He's still a must-have hero. He only needs Mythic Plus, which is 8 copies in total, so he's a lower investment compared to all of the other Celestial Hypogeans, which basically need to be Supreme Plus. Otherwise, they're not going to be, I mean, maybe they're usable, but they're not going to be anywhere near their full potential before getting them to Supreme Plus. But Reinier's the exception, only Mythic Plus, and you'd never need to go beyond that. So yeah, he's very good for Dream Realm. A lot of bosses, top teams are using him, and his charm bonus that he gets every season, he's kind of like a favorite, I think, of the AFK Journey team. He always gets the most powerful supportive charm bonus, just like Hypogean also gets. And then Harak also, I have to put in the A tier because Harak is still the best damage dealer for multiple Dream Realm bosses. I know we're approaching a point where, for example, BAELRAN is actually also the top Dream Realm damage dealer for a couple of bosses, but not as much of a gap compared to Harak. And also, when you think about things like Ravage Realm, Harak always provides a huge score gap by having him built on your account. And I think whenever you have bosses, Dream Realm bosses in the future that have summoning mechanics, Harak is always going to dominate them. Mobility bosses like Necrodraken, Harak is going to dominate. But like, we are approaching the point where basically Harak and BAELRAN, they're getting really close, but I'm still going to put Harak in the end of the A tier and BAELRAN at the top of the B tier, because I still think Harak is the better investment before BAELRAN based on what we have seen so far. Now let's go on and talk about BAELRAN. So BAELRAN I put in the B tier, but I probably would consider him for, like, if you're trying to be the most efficient with your Stellar Crystals, with the heroes you build, BAELRAN should be the number 5 Celestial Hypogean you build as of right now, because he is meta for some Dream Realm bosses in Endless Difficulty. Craze Shellbrute, he provides, I think, a big score boost. I think almost 20 billion score boost by having him. Magmarzard Primal Lord, we saw that he provided like a 60 billion damage boost by having him in your team. So like things like that, he is actually making a big difference in some Dream Realm bosses. Now in other bosses, he's also in the top team. For example, Plague Creeper, and I believe there's one more as well. However, these are going to be minor score increase, like Crystal Beetle. I think these are going to be like a 3-4 billion score jump compared to the no BAELRAN team, which is meaningful, but it isn't necessarily like, oh, he's a must build because of that. Like what Harak does in the teams where Harak is number 1, it's usually like a 20 billion damage score jump, and so like, if you don't have Harak, you're going to be so far behind everyone else, you can't even compete. However, if you don't have BAELRAN, you can still like compete with the second best team, other than in Craze Shellbrute, where he's far and beyond the best hero. But like, I don't know, and we also don't know when we get Mythic Plus charms, how well is BAELRAN going to scale compared to other endless damage dealers that we have. And also, because the major issue is that BAELRAN is mainly a PvE hero. And for AFK stages, yeah, he's really important. Like for those higher infinite AFK stages, you need to have BAELRAN to clear some stages. And so he's one of the most important AFK stage heroes, even more important than Harak. You know, there was a time where Harak was really important for AFK stages, the high deficit pushing, and now you don't hardly see Harak at all, and it's all basically BAELRAN. So BAELRAN's really important for AFK stages. For PvE Dream Realm content, the problem is on his release, he's not dominating. Like when Harak was released, Harak was like best in like 5 out of the 8 Dream Realm bosses. Now BAELRAN on release, really big jump on one of the Dream Realm bosses, on 2 of the other ones, really minus score boost. So I'm like really worried about BAELRAN because like, I mean, on release, if the hero is already barely meta in Dream Realm, it's like what's gonna happen 2 months, 3 months, or in future seasons down the line where we have the newest meta Celestial Hypogean hero. BAELRAN could be completely phased out. So like, you might be thinking, oh, Harak could be power crept. I'm also really worried BAELRAN can be power crept, and in fact I think BAELRAN is more likely to be power crept. So that's really the difficulty, right? Like BAELRAN has not dominated to the extent I wanted him to in Dream Realm, and so that's why it makes him a really awkward hero to invest into. For right now, he's important. We don't know how future-proof he's going to be, right? For PvP, BAELRAN is like, he needs so much babying. Like, he needs a Guardian spell artifact, he needs a Malefaction Talent Tiles. Then with all of that together, then he actually can duel some of the top meta PvP teams. But if you try to take him into regular arena, like without this seasonal support, he is going to be blown up. Like, even an Athalia can one-shot nuke him from full ascended health as well. So like, BAELRAN has that issue that he's really a seasonal PvP hero. And then we come to Athalia. So Athalia I've also kept in the B tier because it depends which route you want to go down. Do you want to go for the PvP route? Athalia definitely is the strongest PvP hero in the game. There's no question about it. So by investing into her, it won't help you in Dream Realm for almost anything. However, it is going to help you in PvP, and she's very flexible. She can work in a lot of different teams. She can work in Graveborn Stroll teams with like Bonnie Satrana, Igor. She can also work in just nuking teams, Iron Crowd Control, nuking teams with Athalia as well. Athalia is really flexible, really solid hero, and probably pretty future-proof when it comes to PvP. She's good in regular arena, she's good in Supreme arena, she doesn't need seasonal support, she doesn't need to be babied because she can just keep dealing damage even after she dies. So this is why it really depends, like, you know, going down the Athalia route and you're more PvP focused player, or for example, you're thinking, oh, BAELRAN probably is going to be power crept in upcoming, like after 4 or 5 Celestial Hypogeans come out. So like, rather than invest into him now, go for Athalia, who's going to be kind of more long-term good for PvP. Because that's kind of the thing, right? The decision you have to make. But as it stands right now in the meta, BAELRAN is the number 5 Celestial Hypogean hero, more higher priority than Athalia. But the thing is, how long is he going to remain this meta? That is the question. That's really the thing I'm worried about for BAELRAN. That's why I haven't even recruited for BAELRAN yet. I'm still waiting because like, we're going to probably get another Celestial Hypogean this season. So for the C tier, these are going to be heroes which are generally mainly PvP heroes because they are not incredibly meta for AFK stages, not incredibly meta for Dream Realm. Although Cryonaia and Kulu I put at the top of the list because Kulu is good for some AFK stages. Kulu has also been decent for Dream Realm. Cryonaia as well this season. Like, I haven't really seen her that much in Dream Realm. However, maybe when we get to the Mythic Plus charms and there's difficulty of bosses, maybe we will see Cryonaia. Like, that is what happened in the previous season. But Cryonaia really is not seeing much Dream Realm usage this season, mainly just a PvP hyper carry, but she's still pretty good. at doing that. So like all of these heroes, I try to order them in what I think would be their priority to build. However, honestly, any one of these 4 heroes in the C tier is one you could pick. But I probably would not recommend building these heroes until you have even BAELRAN built, most likely, because if you want to be efficient, especially with your resources. C tier is purely PvP. Dunlingr is very, very strong in PvP. Honestly, he is only also getting better as more and more powerful heroes get released because he can block their ultimates, he can cure lock, prevent their healing. Dunlingr is such a cool tech hero, and he even does pretty decently on defense, but on offense is where he really shines to shut down like a comp idea that the opponent has, and he can completely shut down like Iron teams, Siren teams really effectively with ult lock, like the Spellbind, yeah, Spellbind. So Talene is not meta in Dream Realm at all, so it's just about do you want to use her in PvP, and she can be good and decent in stall teams, but like she's nowhere Athalia tier, right? So like I would not ever advise anyone to be prioritizing Talene really at all, and honestly I kind of prefer Cryonaia as a hyper carry. I don't know, but it is also about your preference, your style of gameplay, and what type of defenses you like to run, because Talene definitely has a place, but I just feel like Athalia is kind of like an improved version of Talene. They both have that like prevention of death, and Athalia just has better nuking power. And then you have Kulu, who is really good tech hero. She can set up the barricade, range defense buff onto your allies to make them tankier. All of these are really good things, and I think going forward in the future is going to allow her to continue to dominate or have a place in PvP teams due to this fact. And then she also has explosive debuff, which is going to increase the damage that the opponent is going to receive by 10% all of the enemy team. And she has high damage burst with her ultimate and her bombs, and crowd control with her, you know, devouring of her bomb. So overall, Kulu is a very good hero as well. Now, looking at the D tier, so here we have the 3 heroes which were from the global launch of AFK Journey. The only one which has escaped the D tier is Reinier, who is in the A tier because of how meta he still is for Dream Realm. Now these D tier heroes, not good for Dream Realm, not good for AFK stages, generally speaking. In PvP, niche in PvP, and so these are heroes I would not recommend people to be building up, because it's just a matter of time before more and more powerful heroes get released as well, that like these are going to become even lower down the totem pole in terms of priority. So like if you have these heroes built, Dionel, Scarlita, of course you can build teams around them in PvP and Supreme Arena mainly and do pretty well. However, it's not a wise idea to begin building them right now when there are such other better basically heroes, and probably many more strong heroes to come in upcoming months of AFK Journey. So Dionel is strong in hypercarry cons, mainly with Dunlingr support. He is really strong in seasonal content, and you can buff him up from other sources. Like now we have Damon, non-permanent attack buff. We have Pheromore attack buff. We have Hypogean charms onto him, so he has a lot of basically supporters which can take him onto another level, and then he has really high burst damage. So Dionel honestly is one of the heroes that you could consider putting in the C tier for these reasons. However, I don't know, I still do not think I can ever recommend to someone to, like, for example, build Dionel before Dunlingr, Talene, Kulu, or Cryonaia. These heroes are just better, they're a tier above. Scarlita is pretty decent after Supreme Plus skill upgrade. She can be a good support for comps, and she's, I guess, still has one of the most powerful single target basically protection of an ally, but the problem still remains is that is not enough value she's bringing to the table, and you're fighting a 4v5, so you need to have a team which can basically excel at fighting that 4v5, maybe a stall-oriented team, or maybe even some Supreme Arena map effects which are going to allow Scarlita to do really well. Like, for example, we had that map, I believe the Thorin, like drained basically the health bar of 3 of your heroes. Scarlita was good there because basically she's up in the air, she cannot be targeted, it just stalls out better. So like things like that. And then Berial, I think honestly I should even put down in an E tier. I think Berial is the worst hero in the game. I've not seen him effectively used in PvP, honestly. He will probably be getting a Supreme Plus skill upgrade, but a lot of heroes will be getting a Supreme Plus skill upgrade, so like, unless he gets some game-changing effect, I think Berial is just going to remain the most passable hero in AFK Journey. Honestly, not even needed for Ravage Realm, not needed for anything. So like, Berial is the complete, like, you could not even get a single copy of Berial, and it would not affect your account at all. Like that's basically Berial. So anyway guys, that's gonna be it for the wrap up of the current, in my opinion, priority list for Celestial Hypogean heroes. Hopefully this is helpful and it can help you educate and guide your decisions on the next heroes to build up. However, of course, when you don't have the twins or Phraesto up to Supreme Plus, you don't have Reinier up to Mythic Plus, these are the three heroes that you need to build, like Supreme Plus, and then Mythic Plus Reinier. You need to build them and you will just keep getting them whenever you have enough Stellar Crystals or Guild Coins to buy them. However, after this, you can decide, do you not want to get Harak? Do you not want to get BAELRAN? Do you not want to get Athalia? These are not kind of must-have heroes. Harak is really nice to have. BAELRAN is getting a little bit nice to have. Athalia can be good for PvP, but like, these are not must-haves necessarily. And so you can save your resources, wait for the next meta Celestial Hypogean hero, which is bound to come eventually. It's just a matter of time before we have a hugely game-changing meta Celestial Hypogean hero. And like, because it's so expensive to build a hero all the way to Supreme Plus, or even higher than that if you need to, that is why like saving is always a viable option. But like, your guild coins can only get up to 180,000, and then you cannot save anymore. You'll have to buy some hero 1x1 copies, and then you can begin working on the next priority basically that you see here. But anyway guys, hopefully this is helpful. Good luck. And if also you have any other opinions on this priority list, or if you disagree with anything, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. But thank you guys for watching. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please smash that subscribe button. Also feel free to join my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. And finally, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. There's a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. That is the best way you can support me at no extra cost to you. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.